They have sent me a sack. On the day of my coronation, the humans of the southern provinces have gifted me a sack. The new 10 years emperor of the Elendori Empire was neither pleased nor amused. Elves tended to be handsome, no matter their emotional state, but the redness of His Majesty's face and the pulsing of a vein on the imperial neck were beginning to give the lie to that. He turned to glare at his courtiers. Is this someone's idea of a joke? The various magnates and nobles sent puzzled looks at one another, only the most wealthy and powerful among them, the elves who had gotten the new emperor onto the throne in the first place, daring to chuckle at the situation. Perhaps, Your Majesty, the gift is in the sack, a minor gnomish aristocrat hazarded. The wordless baleful look the emperor sent back sealed the young gnome's fate. The advice was unwelcome. The gnome who had offered it was now persona non grata in the capital, and his holdings could be preyed upon without reprisal by the favored houses. He would probably be dead before the month was over. As if I would accept any gift offered in such a barbarous fashion, the emperor sniffed. It was custom in the Elendori Empire, upon the ascension of a new emperor following his appointment by the College of Dukes, for all the lands of the empire to send the finest works of their wizards and mages as tribute to help set the tone for the new reign. Only the greatest examples of the sorcerous arts were offered up, for the province's fates depended upon how well each gift was received. Earn the emperor's disfavor through a gift that did not dazzle or awe, and the next 10 years could be filled with crushing taxes, manpower levies, and revocation of rights for the guilty province. Especially if said province were inhabited by those who had the temerity and sheer gall to not be elves in the first place. This most recent 10 years emperor was known to be even less forgiving of the sin of non-elvishness than his predecessors. Knowing this, the various non-elven polities of the empire had outdone themselves in the quest to win him over through their coronation gifts. From the gnomish provinces in the northwest had come a jeweled clock, meticulous in its craftsmanship, its accuracy assured by mechanical precision supplemented by subtle magics that bound its gears to the flow of the time stream itself. To mark each hour, a tiny trumpeter would stride from a door and play a song praising the might and wisdom of the imperial sovereign. The emperor had shrugged and declared it acceptable. The halflings of the central valleys had offered a chalice made from sacramental silver from their temples, finely worked with engravings of industrious peasants toiling for the empire's glory. Its enchantments were such that any liquid placed within it could be made to take on whatever taste the drinker desired, any poisons would be rendered harmless, and whatever beverage it held would be offered at precisely the ideal temperature for best enjoyment. This had been pronounced adequate, but only just. The dwarves of the mountain lands had sent a mighty sword from their best smiths. It was nearly 4 feet long, but weighed so little it handled like a dagger. Its hilt was formed into the crest of the new emperor's noble house, its blade glowing with the runes for sharpness, strength, speed, and penetration. Lovely as any artwork in the Imperial Museum, it could plunge straight through the mightiest armor and could take the head of an elder dragon with a single negligent blow. Unfortunately, the pommel color clashed with the emperor's preferred wardrobe, so the dwarves would be getting a tax increase and a little taste of the imperial lash for the next few years. Thus, it was to say the least surprising that the humans had not exerted themselves more in the quest for their emperor's good graces. Even before his ascension, His Majesty had long been a voice for sterner treatment of the pestilent round-ears who filled the wooded hills of the imperial south. Why, those barbarous heathens were still permitted to speak their own dialects, follow their own gods, and lay claim to nearly half of what their lands produced. And such leniency by their natural betters had resulted in nothing but restiveness, rebellion, and disrespect. Why, when the previous emperor had all the shrines to human heroes in those provinces pulled down and replaced with statues of his favorite court poetess, there had been so much howling from the humans that the elves had been forced to sully the hands of their soldiers by having them hang the most vocal complainers. His Majesty was already known to be entertaining ideas of a severe culling of the southern provinces' populace. Shouldn't they be trying to forestall such a thing, however long the odds of their swaying the emperor's mind might be? Still, morbid curiosity is still curiosity, so despite the coarseness of its burlap fabric and the grotesque lumpiness of its contents, there was much desire to know what was inside the bag. The emperor glanced to his court sorcerer, who beckoned a couple of halfling servants to bring the sack closer for his inspection. The sorcerer's delicate brows arched. "There is a most powerful weaving of dweomers upon this bag, your majesty. The spellwork is crude, but extremely potent and complex. Ah! There is a card." He plucked a thick parchment from the top of the sack. "The human's penmanship is as atrocious as themselves, but—" He trailed off, scowling just a little as he read. Brows knitted, he opened the sack slightly and peeked inside. A couple of blinks, a deep flush of red to his face, and he cinched the thing closed again. "And just what is within that sack to make you react thus?" the emperor demanded. "Air." The court sorcerer glanced around the room. "I mislike to speak of such before such an audience, your majesty. I ask for answers, not your feelings." The sorcerer took a deep breath. "It is full of members." "Your majesty." "Members of what?" "Members," the sorcerer repeated, emphasizing the word. "Manhoods." Seeing that his sovereign still wasn't getting it, the sorcerer sighed and said, "Your majesty, the bag is full of penises." "What?" This was the reaction from pretty much the entire throne room. "Penises, your majesty. Of every type and description." The court sorcerer drew himself up. "Perhaps it were best if I just read the card the human sent." "Ahem. To His Imperial Majesty, highest ruler of the Elendori Empire. We, the humans of your southern provinces, know that we are not your favored subjects. We have felt the weight of elvish disdain for ourselves and our culture since our lands were conquered centuries ago. And we know that your own preference is that we cease to be altogether, for ourselves and our way of life to be erased from your sight once and for all. And we also know that this is our last chance at peace with our elvish overlords. So, we make the most of this opportunity by offering you the most suitable coronation gift we could think of. The sack you see before you has been enchanted by our greatest magical artificers. It will recreate, with perfect fidelity, the penis of every male that has ever lived upon this world, be they elf, human, goblin, or other, 200 at a time. Each time the bag is emptied, it will refill, until a replica of every penis that has ever existed has been produced. Knowing your taste for powerful and complex magical items, we could think of no more suitable offering than this, which we have named the bag of all the dicks ever." The emperor's expression was torn between baffled, enraged, and intrigued. On the one hand, the spellwork to create such a complex thing was downright impressive, especially for mere humans. But on the other hand, endless disembodied penises. "So, they have sent me, a bag of all the dicks ever?" He glared coldly at his courtiers, though of course none of them were humans. "I would know what they mean by this. Gift. Wait, your majesty. The message continues on the other side. It says..." The court sorcerer paled and swallowed hard. "Aha. It says, so, from the humans of the south to the new Elendori emperor, bon appetit."